the importance of purpose. If we don't know our God-given purpose, then no matter how fast we're moving or how much we're building, we might be moving in the wrong direction. And I say, because I'm right there too. This is something we've all got to wrestle with. Purpose isn't just a nice idea. It's our compass. It's our filter. It's the standard we measure everything against. And if we don't have it, if we're not clear on why we're here, then the truth is we could spend our entire lives doing things that impress people, but disappoint God. And I'm not just talking about eternity, though that's where everything is headed. I'm talking about right here, right now. Because when we live outside our purpose, even our biggest wins can feel hollow. The impact fades. The legacy evaporates. And like the word says in Psalm 127, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Our relationship with God has to come first. And from that relationship flows our purpose. We don't create it, we discover it. We don't chase it, we surrender to it. When we get that order right, God first, purpose second, everything else begins to align. Let's talk about Joseph in Genesis. We love the end of his story. Second in command, saving Egypt, reuniting with his family. But pause with me for a minute. What if Joseph didn't know his purpose? What if, after being betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and locked up in prison, he gave up? What if he stopped showing up with excellence? What if he stopped interpreting dreams? Egypt would have gone hungry. His brothers would have died. The entire plan God was orchestrating would have been interrupted. Joseph's purpose wasn't just about his own promotion. It was about generations. It was about nations. And the same is true for us. Purpose becomes the filter for what we do and what we don't do. It's how we know whether to take the job, start the project, walk away from the opportunity. Because when you know your assignment, not everything gets your attention. Some things are good, but they're not yours. When we know our purpose, we carry ourselves differently. We stop striving for everything and start moving with clarity. We're not chasing, we're walking. We're not scattered, we're grounded. Because purpose gives us direction. It gives us discernment. And it gives us the confidence to say, this is what I'm building and I don't need to come down from this wall. Let's sit with a real-life example. Steve Jobs. This man changed the world. He built Apple. He gave us the iPhone, something we use every single day. His fingerprints are on the way we talk, the way we think, the way we interact with technology. Even years after his death, his influence is still shaping culture. But listen to what he said at the end of his life. In the eyes of others, my life is a success, but aside from work, I have little joy. And now, lying on a hospital bed, I realize that all the recognition and wealth I took so much pride in have become meaningless in the face of death. How is it possible that a man who impacted billions still died feeling empty? Because success without purpose is hollow. You can build something huge and still miss the assignment. Steve Jobs built the future, but according to his own words, he missed the foundation. When we're not anchored in purpose, even the greatest success won't satisfy. Walking in purpose doesn't always feel powerful. A lot of times it feels quiet. hidden. You're showing up, doing the right thing, staying faithful, and there's no applause, no spotlight, no breakthrough in sight. That's where faith steps in. Hebrews chapter 11 writes, Where says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When we're not seeing results, faith holds us steady, and purpose gives that faith a target. God uses the process to shape us for the platform. Joseph didn't go from pit to palace in one leap. He was refined through years of hardship, rejection, and silence. And each of those moments was not just something he survived. They were something he, to become the leader Egypt would one day depend on. The enemy doesn't always come to destroy our calling. Sometimes he just distracts us long enough that we delay or dilute it. He'll offer us something good that keeps us from he'll fill our schedules with so many shiny opportunities that we don't even realize we've drifted off mission. Feelings are inconsistent. Some days we're inspired, some days we're exhausted, but purpose isn't built on feelings. It's built on assignment, and that's what gives us the endurance to keep showing up even when we're not in the mood. Let's talk about someone who walked in relentless obedience, Mother Teresa. By the world's standards, she wasn't wealthy, powerful, or famous, but her life shook the earth. She gave her life to the streets of Calcutta, India, caring for the sick, the dying, the abandoned. No spotlight, no comfort, just radical daily faithfulness. And here's what most people don't know. She wrestled with doubt. In her private letters, she talked about feeling distant from God, but she didn't quit. Why? Because she knew her purpose, and her feelings didn't dictate her obedience. I'm a little pencil in the hand of a writing God who is sending a love letter to the world. Quiet obedience, eternal impact. When we know our purpose, sacrifice starts to make sense. We let go of things, not because we're losing, but because we're clearing space for something eternal. Jesus laid down his life because of the joy set before him. That's what purpose does. It helps us look beyond the moment. Storms will come, but when we're rooted in purpose, we're not shaken. Jesus said the wise man built his house on the rock. The storm hit both houses, but only one stood. Purpose is that foundation. At the end of our lives, we're not going to be asked how many followers we had or how many awards we collected. We'll be asked, did you do what I called you to do? The measure is faithfulness, not fame. Purpose is what keeps us from stepping into success we aren't ready for. It slows us down just enough to grow roots before God lifts us up, because some platforms destroy people who were never built to carry them. Now let's talk about Anthony Bourdain, a brilliant man, a global storyteller. Millions admired him, but in 2018, he took his own life. And we're left wondering, how does someone who traveled the world, touched millions, and had everything still feel that lost? Because success can't fill the void that only purpose was designed to fill. He once said, "I am utterly alone." You can be admired by millions and still feel empty. You can be in every room and still feel like no one knows you. That's why we don't just chase success, we pursue purpose. Purpose gives us the clarity to say without guilt. Jesus said no all the time, not because he didn't care, but because he knew his assignment. And when we know ours, we're no longer afraid to disappoint people if it means pleasing God. Purpose leaves legacy, not just a name, but a pattern, a blueprint. Proverbs says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children." That's more than money. It's mindset, mission, and model. When we're in alignment with purpose, we begin to see provision come. God provides for the plans he initiates. Elijah didn't beg for food. The ravens brought it when he was in the right place. Maybe some of us are praying for provision in places we were never called to be. Excitement gets us started. Purpose keeps us going. Motivation wears off. Likes and applause fade. But when we're rooted in what God called us to build, we keep showing up. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Now let's look at Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. Quiet, gentle, powerful. A man who didn't chase platforms, but walked his assignment with consistency and love. He once said, "I went into television because I hated it so, and I thought there's some way of using this fabulous instrument to nurture those who would watch and listen." That's purpose. He saw what was broken and stepped into it with faith, not for recognition, but for obedience. And decades later, we're still talking about the fruit of that obedience. When we walk in purpose, the right people show up. We stop chasing validation, and we attract alignment. Purpose brings community, and not just any community. Community. Purpose keeps us from settling. It gives us vision to wait, to build right, to go deep. It tells us don't compromise, don't take shortcuts. You were made for more. None of us get it perfect. That's what grace is for. But purpose brings us back to center. It realigns us. It picks us up when we've fallen and reminds us we're still called. Purpose is what makes life worth living. Jesus said, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me." That's what fills us. Not clout, not comfort. Calling. Let's finish with Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks. He built an empire, changed how the world drinks coffee, created tens of thousands of jobs. But in an interview later in life, he said, "I was searching for something outside the business, a deeper meaning, a sense of purpose." That tells us everything. You can build an empire and still be empty, because what we build God will never compare to what we build God. Schultz said, "Success is empty if you leave your soul behind." Let that never be said of us. Let's not abandon our purpose.